What is up? What is up? Welcome back to another NBA Rundown brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. I'm joined today by Tyler and Bobby Gomes, joined us from the DFS side to go ahead and help try and build another winning core. Pretty happy with the help the Mangone gave me. So you're going to have a big shoes to fill today, Bobby. How you feeling?
Yeah, always good, always tough. All stepping in a Mangone's shoes and filling the core side, but ready to rock and roll.
All right. Well, we're glad to have you on here, and hopefully, we're going to make this a regular thing this season. Tyler, we were pretty pissed off at the NBA already last night. Let's start with your thoughts on the game last night. Man, I can't believe we didn't get that over. I was on the right side of the side, right? So I had the Bucks right, feeling pretty good about that, thinking I'm going to sweep, grabbing that over as well, and that they pull Harden and Durant with like 3 minutes to go. I think they scored 2 minutes, 2 points in the last 3 minutes on the net side. Pretty disappointing way to start the season, but overall, just feeling good that I felt like I made the right read on the game, and I think that Nash made the right decision to pull them. But from my selfish perspective, didn't like the decision. What did you think of the first game last night between the Nets and the Bucks? And are you ready for all the overreactions?
Definitely ready for all the overreactions. They're going to be penciling Giannis in for MVP. Maybe even we'll talk about Steph with his triple double. But for that first game, what was it? Drew Holiday ended up bruising his heel in that game, and they were still able to get out that 20-point win. So that's a good sign for the Bucks. They could be right back at it again this year. And then as for the Nets, Patty Mills looked good coming off the bench. What do you go, 7 for 7 from 3?
Mm-hmm.
So he was on fire. The Nets look like they'll be right around there, but we hated his decision to keep them off the floor with 3 minutes to go, but we know it's the right decision. You don't want your stars out there getting hurt.
Yeah, I was surprised that Vogel kept his guys in at down 10 with less than a minute to go. So it was the right decision, but pretty disappointing for the play we gave out. Regardless, I still feel like we're reading the board right. Congrats to those who chased the steam as it went down 7 points and still went under. Bobby, what did you see in the game between the Bucks and the Nets last night? Are you ready to crown the Bucks NBA champions again? Are they destined to repeat after that victory?
Not quite yet, but they did look good. The Bucks did look good, so be nice to see Kyrie Irving get on the floor at some point, but don't know when that's going to happen. Yeah, Giannis looked great. Stinks about Drew. I had a lot of Drew, so that wasn't the greatest, but it is what it is. Patty Mills turning back the clock too, 7 for 7 from 3. I don't know, but Patty Mills might be a nice piece for the Nets as the season kind of goes along, especially when they get into playoff time.
Yeah, I was pretty happy about the Patty Mills call that we made on the show yesterday. We had talked about him as a potential guy in DFS, and I had mentioned him to Tyler as a guy that I really liked to help out the Nets to make that championship push this season, not only for the scoring that he showed last night, but also for just his ability to pace the team properly. And we saw what a star he can be in the FIBA tournament this summer, not the FIBA tournament, but the Olympics this summer, as he really always excels in international play, dials it back to be a good teammate in the NBA, but definitely all the star power is there for Patty Mills. I'm not going to overreact to this Nets loss. I think they're going to bounce back and just start crushing other teams. Their weakness, of course, is going to be teams with size like the Bucks, but not a lot of teams in the NBA have the big size and the power with the Brook Lopez, Giannis, Chris Middleton being a bigger scoring forward. So I'm not ready to write off the Nets yet. Even if Kyrie does not return, I still think this is going to be a potent team. Figuring out the pieces of their lineup. I think they went with too many of their bigs. A smaller lineup might be better for them overall. So we will see where the Nets go from here. The surprise of the night. So I lost the over, but I'm ready to say, hey, I still think I made the right bet there. The one that I missed completely was that Los Angeles Lakers call. Russell Westbrook shot them out of that game. If you told me before we did the show and I gave out the Lakers -3.5 that I get 31 from LeBron and 30 from AD or whatever the exact numbers were, I'm loving this play, right? Because I just thought they were going to be too much for the Warriors, but nobody else stepped up at all for this team. And Russell Westbrook, what was it like? 4 of 17. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I know he was like -23 in his plus minus, and I think they were +16 without him on the court. The other thing that was really disheartening that I don't think will happen all season, but if you're a Lakers fan, you don't have Rondo, Westbrook, and Melo minutes. I mean, that's just absolutely terrible. You've seen those guys run the gym at the Y, and yeah, they win some games, but sometimes they get blown off the court by the young guys. Wasn't too excited about that from the Lakers' perspective. From the Warriors' perspective, everything went right. Bielika was the guy that, we regret losing him in Sacramento now. Steph was Steph, and Jordan Poole's making all the improvements that you guys were talking about in the chat yesterday. Tyler, are you ready to overreact and bury the Lakers' chances this season?
I mean, I wouldn't bury them. You were talking about the three guys that they're going to have to deal with minutes. You forgot they got the Andre Jordan and Dwight Howard minutes they got to deal with.
Oh, those
too.
DeAndre Jordan minutes were terrible. Thank you for reminding me.
They were just.
It put him in a hole to start the game.
Yeah, it's like I don't think he should be out there. They need to force AD to play the 5. Yeah. And to be honest, I think the guy that should be in that starting lineup, and everyone's going to call me crazy, put Malik Monk in that starting lineup.
He was a little disappointing last night, but obviously he's a younger guy with a chance to improve, and he can actually play defense.
Space the floor. He can play some defense. He can hit you some open shots. If the dude catches fire, he can hit you like 6 to 7 threes in one game.
Mm-hmm.
I think he should get a lot more run on that Lakers team, but Golden State moved the ball like we know they do. They passed the ball well. Bielitsa looked like he fit right in that offense. And I mean, they said that Golden State played at like the highest pace of like any of the games dating back to last year. And they talked about this Lakers team wanting to play as a high-paced team, and they were ran off the floor last night. I think that's going to revert pretty quick. They're not going to want to be a run-and-gun team with these young guys on the other side.
Yeah, and we got that wrong too, as obviously we like the under on this show yesterday. We thought the Lakers would try and run the pace, and I think that they failed, from the mental aspect of the game to, they should try to impose their will. They were the bigger team. They decided to go with these bigger lineups, which we don't like, but if you do it, at least play to the strengths of it and run slower. Also, one thing for the Lakers to be said, they were missing Wayne Ellington. They were missing THT. Some of these younger shooters that will probably get more minutes and probably cut down the Melo and Rondo minutes, which I think those should be like, on the side, like, in case of emergency, break glass. That's when you should use Rondo and Carmelo at the same time. But other than that, I think they should avoid that. Bobby, what did you see in that game last night between the Lakers and the Warriors?
Yeah, pretty much same thing you guys saw. Obviously, the Lakers need to stretch the floor, and you add Russell Westbrook, and it's like, why was it Westbrook that they targeted? It doesn't make a ton of sense, right? He had the worst plus minus on the team. Didn't look good. Shot terrible. It'll be nice to see when Wayne Ellington gets there, like the Malik Monk call. But I still don't think they have the shooting, and that kind of makes me skeptical on like the Lakers in terms of their chances this year and running the table. I just don't. For me, it's not a bet that I'd be looking to make. They look really scary, in my opinion, especially the minutes that you talked about, like having Melo, Westy, Rondo, like what are we doing, guys? Like just all the veterans. Let's just get all the veterans together. But is what it is. We'll see. LeBron's the GM, coach, whatever.
Yeah, it's pretty funny too because I was happy that the trade didn't go through as a Kings fan, and usually I root against the Lakers. But boy, I think they're regretting not grabbing Buddy Hield with those assets rather than Westbrook because both LeBron and Westbrook need the ball. If I'm the coach or I'm a Lakers fan, I want LeBron with the ball, not Westbrook. So now what is he really providing for me other than basically transition? And one other thing that I do like that he does that I think that doesn't get credited enough, I like that he does put pressure on the other team's defensive rebounding by always going for the glass. Obviously, there is a negative translation on that, as a lot of times he's not back, and it puts pressure on the Lakers' transition defense. But at the same time, not a lot of teams do that, and I do think that it kind of forces the defensive rebounders to be a little more aware there. I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about the Lakers, this season coming up, though. So we'll go ahead and move on. But I'm sure we'll be revisiting it. But I don't want to overreact to really either of those losses. It just seems to be pretty easily to see the fixes that both of the teams that came up on the short end, what they can do to end up being the contenders that we will expect they will be. Let's jump into tonight. The Indiana Pacers right now are catching 1 in Charlotte. Was there some injury news that moved this line, or was this the market that moved this line? Tyler, I'm not sure, but go ahead. I'm going to look that up right now, and you let me know your thoughts on this Indiana Charlotte Hornets game that's put it at a total of 222.5.
I mean, looking at this one, it's a tough game for me. This is that play-in matchup we had last year. They played in that play-in tournament. Indiana got the better of them. So I could see this being like a game Charlotte's like they want to get that win back. They knocked them technically out of the playoff picture last year. They're getting all their young guys back healthy. Indy could have that like little bit of like a rough spot to start the year, getting Rick Carlisle's system involved. So I mean, it's basically a pick'em game. Give me Charlotte in the home court here. I think they win the game.
Yeah, I lean towards Indiana in this game, but not enough to really make it a play. I do like the way that Indiana and Sabonis and Turner are going to match up against the Charlotte Bigs, which is the weakness of that team. At the same time, I don't feel like it's a strong enough edge in game one to really go ahead. And also because there's a bunch of other games on this card that I love. So I'm staying away from this. I lean the opposite side, but not really a strong conviction. Bobby, did you have an idea of who you think's going to win this game between Indiana and Charlotte?
Yeah, I'm with you. I like Indiana. I always like Sabonis. I think he's in a great spot. Malcolm Brogdon, Miles Turner, guys I like. I love that we're going to see LaMelo Ball early on, like first game, kick off the slate. I think 32% usage rate last year. Now you're taking Devontae Graham out of the equation. Really like Ball on the other side for Charlotte from a DFS perspective. If I had to pick someone to win the game, though, I think I'd be on the Pacers side.
Right, but like I said, not a huge edge, and wouldn't be surprised if Tyler ended up getting the better of us there. I hit this one earlier. I don't know if I still like it at this number, but I still lean that way. I'm talking about the Chicago Bulls, who are heading to Detroit to take on the Pistons, who will be without number one draft pick Cade Cunningham, who is still suffering from a concussion. And boy, with the team as far as they are away, where they are in the process of the rebuild, makes sense that they would be careful with their newly acquired franchise player. So no Cade tonight. Bay and who's the other one that also had one? Bay and Killian Hayes also had issues. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Killian Hayes is the one with concussion. Cade Cunningham's a sprained ankle. Excuse me for that one. But Cunningham's out. Hayes is playing. Might be a minutes restriction. Same thing with Sadiq Bey, who had injury problems during preseason as well. Probably a minute restriction on him, although I haven't seen anything official here. I like Chicago. You know, I'm down on Chicago for the whole season, but I do think that this is a game where they do have the huge talent advantage. My concerns for Chicago are going to be against the top teams in the East and the West, but I do think that they are a very talented team, and I think that they'll steamroll some of the weaker teams like this that won't be able to take advantage of their defensive deficiencies. Because when you look at Chicago, what's going to be the issue here? Vukovic can't protect the rim, and I can usually find a guy that I want to attack off the dribble on the perimeter if DeRozan and Levine are in the game at the same time. I don't think that the Pistons do have the guys to take care of that. Jeremy Grant's kind of a big, but he's not going to really get down low and kill Vukovic. And with Cunningham out, I don't know if they're going to be able to exploit the Bulls' lack of perimeter defense as well. Tyler, I like the Bulls, even at -5. What do you think of this game?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the same side as you here. I can't back this Detroit team. They're missing their key guy they picked up in the offseason, their first overall pick, Cade Cunningham. Killian Hayes, I think he will play. I see props listed for him. So I think he'll be in there, but I just don't see how they stop the Chicago team, and I don't see how they keep up. I could see Chicago hanging like $120 here, and Detroit's just fighting to get up over 100. So give me the Bulls -5. And I think Zach LaVine's points props way too low at 24.5. I don't see a guard on that team that's going to step in front of him.
Levine was one of the first guys I looked at when I was doing a preliminary DFS build this morning, Bobby. So to definitely talk about that, but also give me your thoughts on Chicago Lane 5 opening night in Detroit.
Yeah, make it 3 for 3 on the Bulls. Really like the Bulls in the spot on the betting side. In terms of DFS, I feel like Vucevic, Levine, DeRozan, Lonzo Ball, they're all going to cannibalize each other's usage. So it's not something I'm really targeting outside of playing MME. If I think a group I created was at most one within my 150. So I think that's interesting just from a group perspective. But I think that's going to be the case for the Bulls all year with the star power and them all eating into each other's usage rates. So I don't know. If I'm building one team, I don't really want any Bulls.
And there's no Pistons going in there, right?
No Pistons. I think Jeremy Grant you could take a flyer on, but this is 219.5 total. I don't know. Not too many Pistons that I'm interested in outside of Jeremy Grant. Maybe Plumlee, I guess. Is
Yeah, I
Plumlee?
remember last year there were some value guys, right? Like Stewart would come in cheap and Saban Lee would come in cheap. And I remember they were finding the way into a lot of the Run Pure Sports cores. But I also noticed those were on the smaller slates as well. It seems like tonight where there's so much possible value, and you mentioned it earlier, and we'll get into it a little later, but with a lot of the rookies being priced under 4K, seems like they might have more upside than a guy like Saban Lee who can get you there, but probably is only going to play 20 minutes. Maybe some of the Detroit value we're going to have to save for these smaller slates. Let's talk about the Washington Wizards catching
Plumlee's,
2.5 in Toronto. What's that,
Plumlee's,
Bobby?
Plumlee's with Charlotte, not Plumlee. Don't play Plumlee. Well, you could play Plumlee, but he's not. He's no longer with Detroit. Yeah, just catching up on my off-season transaction moves for the NBA, I guess.
Yeah, that was kind of Plumlee's in Charlotte now. Yeah, and it was kind of weird that they brought him in with Jeremy Grant, right? But then he actually played pretty well last year, right? It wasn't like he was, you were just like, okay, maybe that wasn't really that bad a pickup, but they moved on from him pretty quickly. But that makes sense because where they were at in the rebuild, I didn't really see how Plumlee fit in, other than really keeping him competitive and maybe keeping some of the younger guys' heads up so they didn't get blown out by 20 every night. But let's talk about the Wizards catching 2.5 in Toronto. Toronto was the team that we were talking about highly yesterday, Tyler, when we were doing it. Was it wasn't an official season preview, but we did a quick season preview. We both like the Raptors to make the playoffs. This is a game that they're going to have to win because we talked about who's probably going to end up in the seventh or eighth spot. Probably going to be one of the Wizards or the Raptors, so they're going to want to get off to a good start. We both like this team. I lean towards laying it with the Raptors here, but this is a game where home court means everything to me. If this game opened in Washington, I think I would play the Wizards. But the Raptors have a great home court. It'll be the first time they played there in 2 years. I expect that place to be off the chain. I think it's going to be wild to start the game, too. I might look at a first quarter as well, but I like Toronto here. What are your thoughts, Tyler?
Yeah, I agree. First game back in that Scotia Arena in 2 years. That place is going to be rocking. This was one of them games I circled with this being like the second day of NBA.
Yeah.
And they're at home. That, just like you said, this should be a smash spot for them. Beal is still kind of banged up for Washington. They're going to be integrating a lot of new pieces. I seen DraftKings listed a prop earlier. It was Daniel Gafford over under half a three-pointer. The under spread was plus 180. You want to know how many threes he shot in his NBA career? 0.
Is there something going on in preseason then? Like, did he jack up a bunch during preseason? How's that even there?
Because DraftKings hung that prop for a little bit and it's gone now.
Oh, okay.
They took that rate off. They knew they messed up there.
Somebody got a phone call. Someone's in a
phone
DraftKings
call.
office getting chewed out right now.
Yeah, but I think Toronto smashes them here. I think Washington's integrating those pieces. Bill's still not 100%. Give me Toronto here.
All right. Bobby, do you agree with us on Toronto? And then also, you mentioned it with the Bulls, and it just came to my mind. This could be a similar situation. Do you think the Raptors kind of all take that usage from each other?
Yeah, so the Raptors usage is pretty much going to be the usage that kind of X's out pretty much any value that's going to come before this game, because you're going to have guys like Scotty Barnes, Precious Achiuwa. These guys are going to be all the key value plays for cash game guys, unless we get any drastic news. Agree with you guys on the Toronto side. FEV probably gets a bump with Pascal being out, and I think a lot of these guys are going to see more usage. If Achiuwa ends up starting, he might be like one of the higher owned players on the slate, I would imagine. He's coming in around 15% now. I could see that bump like 15 more percentage points. Like secondary stacks with FEV in tournaments, if you're going to run back some of those Washington guys just because of the total in this game, I like that route. That's pretty much it for me from a DFS perspective, though. There's a lot to offer here in this game.
Oh, really? Okay, because I was thinking it wouldn't be as good.
Dinwiddie, I would like Bradley Beal.
That was the question I was going to ask you before we moved on to the next game. Bradley Beal, 9,500. How do you feel it with him as a spend up? Because tonight's spend ups are tasty. I mean, it's like going to one of those great buffets in Vegas. I mean, there's so many good options. How do you feel about Beal at 9,500?
So I think he would differentiate the Toronto chalk pretty good. So I don't mind spending up for him in that situation. Other guys, I think Dinwiddie at 4.9 is just too cheap on DK. Montrezl Harrell 3.7, I don't mind him. Be more of a GBP play. And that would be probably it on the Washington side. Really like the Toronto value, though.
Wow, I think you make a great point. Dinwiddie at 4,900. I think he's definitely going to find his way into a lineup of mine. That does seem way too low. So great point there. And we all seem to like Toronto. A little worried that we're all agreeing here, but let's see how it turns out tonight. We've obviously had a lot of time to cap these games. As usually, we get our NBA lines, around midnight my time or right when I wake up at 6 in the morning. But these lines have been out for a while, so a little more chance to do some NFL style handicapping on this game. The New York Knicks are now -1.5 hosting the Boston Celtics. The Knicks made one of the most surprising runs last year, as during our preseason previews we had expected the Knicks to be a lottery team again. They made it all the way to fourth, had a disappointing playoff performance against the Atlanta Hawks, but I don't want to write them off as a regular season team. I thought they made two strong moves to go ahead and address their deficiencies by adding Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier. That gives them some defense. Hopefully Thibodeau and the rest of those guys can offset both those guys' defensive liabilities, and they can still be the defensive juggernaut they were. Man, Tyler, I'm sounding like a broken record because I like the short home favorites here today, but I like the New York Knicks to cover against the Boston Celtics. A little bit concerned with Jaylen Brown. Bobby, when you go, do you have the news? I capped it with him out.
Yeah. So I think that if he's out, you're definitely playing Tatum. So that would be where I'd be heading in terms of.
But
defense.
it's not confirmed yet.
It's not. I think it was just questionable.
I think I'm reading that he's listed as in. They released the starting lineup earlier today with him in it.
Okay.
But then Fantasy Labs turned around and that said he personally said that he's still questionable. So it's one of those situations.
Yeah, and Horford was also in the same COVID protocol, and he's going to be out. I'm noticing everyone else is playing, but I see Grant Williams as the starter. Another reason for me to want to play the New York Knicks here. What were your thoughts on this game, Tyler?
I think the Knicks win this one. I mean, no Horford in the middle. I see Nerlens Noel's doubtful, but they will have Mitchell Robinson back to guard that center spot. I think Randall just eats him up here. I think it would take Tatum just exploding for them to beat this Knicks team. But I think they have the defensive guys to throw at them. And one problem I picked out in this game, they had Julius Randle's double-double listed at plus 120. All last year, I mean, we were seeing -200 on this guy to get a double-double. I think we just have to take the plus money in this spot. He's basically going to be fighting Robert Williams and Grant Williams for rebounds. So I think he could definitely out-rebound those guys and get up to 10.
All right. I said before the show, I like that Randall double-double as well because unlike other players like De'Aaron Fox, where if you take the double-double, you're gunning on points and assists, Randall has 3 ways to get there, of course, with the points, rebounds, and assists, all as a threat to go over 10. Bobby, did you like the Knicks here? And let's say that Brown ends up playing. Who should I be looking to put in this game if they are at full strength?
If they're at full strength, I'd be completely staying away with a 216 total.
Okay.
On the Celtics side, on the Knicks side, I think the props with Randall, I think that's a really good bet. I really like Randall in the spot. I think he can crush Grant Williams' defense. I think he's a good GPP play in DFS. You're adding Kemba Walker. People think that maybe that usage is going to hurt Randall. I'm not really worried. Randall would be a pretty good GPP play at his price on DK for me.
All right. Boy, a lot of agreement here, but I think we're getting pretty close to one that we're going to disagree on because here's where I get to take a stand and go crazy. The Cleveland Cavaliers plus 7.5 against the Memphis Grizzlies. Tyler, I took the Cavaliers, man. I know the Memphis looks so good, but I also think the Cavaliers are being undervalued because they were tanking at the end of last season. We get all 3 of the guys here. Sexton obviously got a fire lit under him with no extension there. I think Isaac Okoro was greatly approved towards the end of the season. I don't know what I'm going to get out of Kevin Love, but I just don't know if I'm ready to lay 7.5 with Memphis. So I like the Cavaliers here. Tyler, tell me why I'm crazy.
I mean, I don't hate it. I'm probably not betting a side in this game because Memphis was a thorn in my side all last year. Anytime I bet them, they lost. Anytime I bet against them, they blew the team out. So probably a stay away spot for me. But if you made me pick a side, it'd be Cleveland. I don't like the Memphis additions in the offseason. I think Steven Adams is a statue. I think Mobley can have his way with him in his first game, drag him outside, shoot some threes, move him around a bit. John Morant could eat Garland alive too. Sexton's not the best defender. Desmond Bain could get hot from 3 also. So, I mean, it's tough, but yeah, I think Cleveland can keep it close.
Yeah, that's basically what you're betting there. And then, of course, with the 7.5, seven, usually the number where teams stop fouling. So I like getting that extra hook there. Bobby, from a DFS perspective, did you have a lot of interest in this game?
I think there are some interesting value pieces. Obviously, Triple J, Desmond Bain. I think he gets more usage. Colin Sexton in the preseason, he had a pretty high usage rate. I don't really want to stack this game with it being a 218 total, but I think Colin Sexton's fine as a one-off in GBPs, or if you're trying to run back Triple J. That'd be pretty much. And yeah, we're in agreement again. I'd pick the Cavs to cover the 7 in this game.
All right, yeah, I like it. This is not what I expected, but pretty cool, especially on that Cavaliers pick, because I didn't think that one was going to be popular at all. I mean, the way at the end of the season, they were losing almost every game by 15 points or more. But new season, new hope, and obviously, a way to get started. And they started strong last season, so let's see how that one goes. Let's talk about the drama. The Philadelphia 76ers are now -4 going against the Pelicans. Obviously, the line moved with Zion Williamson being out. There's really not much to say. Everybody knows about the Ben Simmons stuff. If you follow the NBA, he will not be playing tonight. In my mind, I mean, just quick opinion, I think they made a mistake. Amori probably should have sold low, right? It's almost like, if you broke up with your wife, but you didn't want to pay the rent and you're staying there. Well, it's like, okay, you're saving a little money and, you're not getting gypped, but you're not moving on, right? And you're not starting your future. And that's what I feel like this Philadelphia team's doing. They're kind of stunting their season. With Embiid's health issues, how many years do they have? I think it was a dangerous gamble by Morey. Of course, if he ends up getting a Lillard or a Bradley Beal, I'll be proved wrong. But we'll see how this turns out. Right now, I didn't want to get involved in this game. Originally, I think I liked Philly. I don't know how much the Zion news would change it for me, so I feel like I'm just losing points with it being out to +4 when it was only -1.5 when this one opened. This is probably the game I least likely want to get involved with. Tyler, am I missing some value?
I think so. I think Philly smashes them here. I think they come out and make the statement that they don't need Ben Simmons. I think they rally around the guys they have. I mean, Maxey will be the starting point guard. I see Milton's out too. Thibault will be in. And I think the Pelicans are just one of the worst teams in the league roster-wise.
Wow, that's pretty strong.
Like, what do they really have outside of, like, Brandon Ingram? Zion's already hurt. They said he was coming into the preseason over 300 pounds. That's not good for a guy that's supposed to be relying on his athleticism. So I just don't see it. I could see Harris and Thibault just giving Ingram problems, and then there's no real offense generating for the Pelicans. And Embiid's just going to eat Joe Val alive down low. So give me Philly minus. I think they win this game by at least 10.
Yeah, hey, the way I've been gaining weight this summer, maybe I should go get a Zion jersey. Bobby, what do you think? I was afraid to jump in. Tyler says I'm missing value on Philly. Do you think he's right? I think he makes a good point. Team probably does want to make a statement that they don't need Ben.
Yeah, I do think Philly's going to smash here. Maxey and Embiid, these are great DFS plays tonight. Just Maxey for the value. Simmons out. He's priced for like Simmons being in, but I still like him. Embiid, I think he's top 2 player on the slate along with Jokic. It's a good point on Thibault getting Brandon Ingram getting Thibault defense. It'd probably make me a little wary about playing Brandon Ingram in like single entry or just Brandon Ingram making my player pool. Neil Alexander Walker would be someone that I could see playing in like 150 script if I'm playing like him just hitting that type of player pool, or if I'm playing multiple teams. I think he's fine. For the Pelicans, he would be the only Pelican outside of Ingram that I would consider, but I don't even think I'm going to play much Ingram, so it'd probably just be not for me.
Yeah, I was thinking Ingram might be popular there. A little bit concerned. What is our total in this game? 224, so nothing that really stands out. It's also right in that range of totals that I don't like to get involved with. Those are the ones, it's almost like the 47 in football. So I'll be fine staying away from that total. And you guys might be talking me into Philly here, and I agree. I think Embiid's going to have a huge night, and I think he's going to also, the team is also probably going to have the must-see press conferences when we're done. Usually I ignore it. Usually they just say all the the normal things you expect them to say, but we might be getting some fire in that Philly post game press conference. So let's see what happens with that team. But it looks like looks like the market agrees with you as the lines move to 4.5 as I continue to scroll down on my line. So everybody seems to like the Sixers here. We'll see if I'm missing out. Tyler, the Houston Rockets are up to +6 against the Timberwolves. Tempted because we do like the Rockets, but this is also a young team going against another team that I do think has a lot to prove. I mean, some pretty funny quotes coming out of there, right? Karl Anthony Towns is going to watch two gorillas fight before every game, and D'Angelo Russell said his mindset is to kill everybody, every quarter, every minute. So, boy, love the fact that there's some big UFC fans up there in Minnesota. What do you expect from this game? Lean towards Houston, but definitely didn't want to take it. Love other spots on the board a lot more.
I mean, what they need to be watching is how to play defense up in Minnesota because they don't play a lick of it. I mean, Russell doesn't even know what defense means. So,
right.
I mean, it does seem like a big number for a Houston team that should be scrappy. I could see Porter keeping them in this game. Christian Wood's back 100% healthy too. So, I mean, probably pin me down, give me Houston here, but I think it goes flying over. I think you get points galore in this game.
Yeah, as you started to say that, it's like Houston was one of my favorite over teams.
They were one of the higher paced teams too, and now they're getting all their offensive pieces back. It's like
Minnesota was an over team for us, right? Two over teams, right? Okay, I like that. Bobby, what do you think? And obviously, at 232, this game's got to spark your interest as a DFS player.
Yeah, a lot of interest in this game. Karl Anthony Towns, Tyler hit the nail on the head. Doesn't play any D, so Christian Wood down at 8K. I think he's very interesting. Jalen Green at 4,200 is another player that I'm going to have interest in. And then on the Minnesota side, Anthony Edwards, Malik Beasley, D'Angelo Russell. I think you can run back these stacks. You can run back stacks with some of these Houston guys. Kevin Porter Jr. is in play for Houston. He'd probably be, if I had to rank them, it'd be Wood, Green, Porter for me. And then, Towns is always in play. Very good DFS game. It's definitely of interest.
All right, probably towards the end of the show when we're trying to create a core, we'll come back and I'll have some questions about this game because this game really caught my eye when you're looking to try and make some daily fantasy lineups. Let's go to the next game. Orlando Magic out to 6.5. Tyler, I wrote an article and I bet the Spurs, I think at 5, almost like the Philly game. At 6.5, I'm not getting involved. I bet it at 5.5. I originally wrote the article at 5. I think I missed it. I hit submit before I made the bet. At 6.5, though, no interest at all. I still like San Antonio, but the line's creeping up a little too high for me. What do you think about this Orlando team heading to take on the Spurs?
I mean, I think it's no play at 6.5. I think you'll get a better number live if you just wait and keep an eye on this game because I can definitely see this one where Orlando goes on a run, maybe snags the lead for 5 minutes. You get the Spurs at plus money, and then they come back and never give the lead up again. Yeah. So, I mean, definitely something to keep an eye on there. The total seems pretty low, but I'm not looking to bet an over with a Spurs and Orlando matchup. But one thing that stuck out to me here was Derek White's 3-point prop was 2.5, and it was plus 130. The dude was shooting 7 threes a game when he was playing healthy, and Orlando gave up at least 3 threes made to opposing guards, point guards and shooting guards last season. So he's going to get the shot attempts tonight. It's just if they fall.
All right, Derek White. What do you think, Bobby, with a game of 212? Is there any way that we're going to be getting involved here? And do you think the Spurs can cover the 6.5?
There's not a ton of interest for me on the Orlando Magic side. I can tell you that much. Way too many bigs. I don't know why they have so many bigs. Mo Bamba, Robin Lopez, Wendell Carter. Just too many bigs there. And then on the other side, DeJounte Murray. I like DeJounte with DeMar DeRozan having moved on. I think that he's going to assume more usage. I like his price. And then maybe Jacob Podol, I would say, just from the Spurs. It would only be Spurs for me in this game. Like Murray, Podol, and I guess you can make a case for Jalen Suggs. So.
And one of the fun things going on involving the Spurs last season, Bobby, in the Discord and on the shows, was Big T would never play a Spur, right? And Kay Fallick loved the Spurs here. How are you approaching the Spurs with obvious? I mean, do you think that the moves help them this season? Do you think it gives them more room? Or are you leaning more towards Big T, don't play these guys, the usage is too balanced?
They're so tough to play with being a pop team, but I think it's going to change, like I said, with DeRozan having moved on. total, Murray should see more of an increase. So I think they're in this total, they're playable. They're just more one-offs for me, unless you're running back Jalen Suggs from the Orlando side, or you want to play Suggs in the Orlando side. But I wouldn't stack up a 216 game total or 214.
It's down to 212 on Bookmaker right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, looks like K. Fallick will not get his revenge in this game, but of course we will see tomorrow. The Oklahoma City Thunder. This is 14 now. If you like dogs in the NBA, just wait, man. I mean, all these numbers have moved towards the favorite. If you want CLV, just hit these favorites on the opener here. 14 is way too much to lay, even with the awesome Utah Jazz team. I'm not going to bet it, but I lean the Thunder here, grabbing 14. That's just too much. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's too much. Utah could blow them out, but this OKC team was scrappy up until that end of that season last year, that last month where they basically just flicked the switch to off. Would they do lose like a month straight of games? So SGA
and they shut everyone down though, because now they'll be back and they're not just trying to lose. I don't think they'll. I think they wait till at least after New Year's to start and lose, right?
Yeah, they throw a good cover out there for at least half the season. Yeah. So I definitely say take the 13.5 here, but I think that game flies over 221. I mean, Utah shoots a ton of threes. They're going to be flinging them. I think they score $115 or more. And OKC is going to fight in this game, so I think it flies over.
All right. Bobby, do you agree with us that we're taking the points here? And last year there was a player that was pretty good to us in the DFS lineups. It was Titletown's twin, Poku. Do we put some Poku in our lineup tonight?
I don't have any Poku, but if you do play SGA was like hitting optimals, but I would not play him unless I'm playing tournaments, and I would only play him if I'm grouping Mitchell, Gobert, or someone on the Utah Jazz side with the spread being what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, no Poku for me, though. I get it. He worked out last year, but no Poku as of right now. And the points, I kind of like the Jazz. Maybe this is the first time I'm on the other side, but
no, that's great. We need some of that. I mean, these guys are going to think that we spent an hour talking before the show just to get all on the right side.
The reason being is I just don't know where the offense is going to come from at this point. Like SGA, they could shut them down. They're going to rely on Lou Dort, maybe Poku, but is it going to be enough? I don't know. I'm just going to take the Jazz.
All right, and that's fine because the Jazz were another team that we talked about that did run up their net rating pretty high by beating up on the worst teams, and they did do a good job of covering some of those double-digit spreads last season, much to my chagrin. In fact, I do remember, I think I gave out the similar situation. I think Oklahoma City was plus 17 last year, and usually, when you lose bets, people are pretty cool about it. They know you're trying your hardest. But that was one of the ones that I did get some hate mail afterwards. Like, why did you have me take this Oklahoma City team as they were down by 27 points going into halftime? Like, do you even know what you're doing? So, not going to repeat that mistake. Lean towards the Thunder, but I don't want to receive any hate mail just on the second day of the season. Another line that is moving, the Kings up to 6.5. If it touches 7, I'll have to take it. Right now, I'm laying off, but I lean towards taking the points with the Kings, even though they don't win. I think they will fight hard and keep it close, and I think they match up well with this Portland team, who I think is kind of like the Kings, where they're kind of guard-oriented. I don't think that you can punish the lack of size on the Kings. I think that we might see, if you consider Norm Powell a guard, a lot of 3-guard lineups from both teams, so I think that it'll fit into the way that both teams want to play. I'm going to grab the points with the hometown team if it reaches 7, and the way these lines have been moving today, Tyler, I think it will. What do you think of my idea of backing my hometown heroes?
I mean, I don't hate it. I could see Portland. I mean, Sacramento doesn't play much defense, and neither does Portland.
Right.
So if these guards get hot for Portland, they can hang a huge number. So, I mean, probably a stay away spot for me, but player prop wise, give me De'Aaron Fox over 24.5 points. I mean, Lillard doesn't play much defense. He's going to be running at 100 miles an hour. And the dude had some of the best games we've seen out of him last year, and I think he builds on that this year. So I think he might put up 30 in this spot.
Yeah, I was going to say, Bobby, give us your quick thoughts on this, and then we got to break this one down because you probably, if you want to have a chance in winning the tournament, I'm going to guess there's going to be at least 1 or 2 players from this game in your lineup. What do you think of the Kings catching 6.5? And can we stack this game on this big a lineup?
Yeah, so I think the Kings can cover, and obviously if you think they're covering or you think they can cover, you can play. You can run back Lillard, McCollum. with De'Aaron Fox. You're definitely stacking up this game, I would say. Nurkic, I think, is in play as well. Davion Mitchell down at 3-6. He's hitting some of my stuff. So, yeah, I really like this game. Really like it from a DFS perspective. Probably have my most ownership allocated to this game because I think some of these guys are going to come in likely lower owned than they should be just because it's the late night hammer. And you have a guy like CJ McCollum, for example, that no one ever wants to play because Lillard's there. And then you have the two studs that are going to project better than Lillard and Jokic and Embiid. So Lillard's going to be a little bit depressed relative to what he likely should be. And Tyler just said, like, he can absolutely smash. De'Aaron Fox would be my favorite, like, surefire play that I would play in cash. But think that all these plays here definitely have GPP winning upside and definitely slate breaking upside. So
there's two guys in this mid range that I'm interested in, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Norm Powell at 5,700 and Rashawn Holmes at 6,300. Do you think those guys are priced correctly, or do you think that I might be able to get away with throwing one or two of them in my lineup?
Yeah, Rashawn Holmes is someone I played a ton last year, so I don't mind going back to him. In terms of Powell, he's fine. I never play a lot of Powell, but it's like my own personal recency bias. So
okay,
I would just go with your gut on that one. I never get him right, but definitely like the Rashawn Holmes call.
And let's say you had enough money for both. Would you play Fox over Lillard? I'm at my last spot. I got plenty of money. I can play Fox or Lillard. Who would you play?
I would play Lillard, but I really like Fox.
Okay. I mean, also he is 800 cheaper, I think.
Yeah.
Lillard 10-1, Fox 9-3. So, if that allows you to squeak in a better player in the mid range, you can definitely go with Fox. But if you got a ton of money on the table, Bobby does like Lillard better. Let's go to the last game of the night, and this one's going to be a lot of fun. The Denver Nuggets are catching 6. This is a rematch of the playoff series where the Phoenix Suns swept the Nuggets, but we have to be fair. The Nuggets were completely beat up. Jamal Murray was missing. Will Barton was beat up. Monty Morris was beat up, and Porter Jr. was playing with a back injury, which severely limited his ability to score. With no explosiveness, that guy really can't do a lot other than just be a spot-up three-point shooter. They look to be at full strength, but they played terrible in preseason. Not sure exactly where to go here. If it wasn't for the preseason performance and the quotes coming out of the team, I would love the Nuggets. I'm still betting it, but I'm not as strong in my conviction here. Tyler, what do you think of me catching the +6 with the Nuggets here?
I'm on the same side as you here. I think Phoenix is kind of like, you can't call it a championship hangover because they didn't win.
Right.
But they celebrated pretty hard making the finals. I could see them coming into this game flat. And we talk about Denver having all this rumor surrounding them. Phoenix just didn't pay their first-round pick from a few years ago.
What is up with that? I was going to bring that up. And who's the guy that always like say I love the drama?
Did they not pay him? They turned around and paid Bridges
and Landry Shamet.
Yeah, so it's like you're spending money in places where you kind of need to spend money on your main guy.
Yeah,
but I think Denver comes out with a fight here. Some of their guys are back to being healthy that were injured in that playoff series. Yes, they're still down Murray, but I think they keep this one close, and I think this game means a bit more to them than Phoenix.
Yeah, Bobby, we just loaded up the questions for you. Number 1, is DeAndre Ayton worth the max? Number 2, can the Nuggets cover 6? And 3, of course, give me your thoughts on who maybe we could have in our lineups from this game.
I'm on the Nuggets covering the 6. Ayton, I do not think is worth the max.
So you agree with this decision, huh? It's not just Robert Sarver being cheap?
I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of Ayton. I think Jokic is going to destroy him tonight. Michael Porter, like him. This is a better actual basketball game to watch than DFS game.
Okay.
What was the final cue? What was that last thing?
Oh, just like, so if you were going to play some guys out of this game, who would you be looking at? So you were saying, so you do like Jokic, obviously 10-4 though, so not, I mean, so when we're looking at the top 3 centers on this lineup, I think it's Jokic, Embiid, and Towns. You obviously can't fit 3 in there. Let's say I have enough to fit 2. Who's the odd man out? Like in that start 1, bench 1, cut 1. Who do you take out of here, Bobby?
And Embiid without a question for me.
Really, over Towns, even against that weak Houston? Okay, all right. Love to hear that. Now, is there any value in this game when I'm looking at the bottom of the slate here? Is there some of these guys maybe that could help me out that are less than 5K?
You can make a case for Monty Morris. I'm not sure where his price is at, but I don't know. There's not, with all the, if you look at Houston and you look at like all the other value plays, do you really want to be pulling value from Denver or Phoenix? Like, it doesn't make that much sense. I'd rather just play
Okay.
Houston, Minnesota value or Washington, Toronto value.
Okay, and excellent, and that's why we love having you on there. So we'll just do the spend ups in this game and stay away from the value. Let's answer a question from Hookem real quick, and then we will move on. We'll do some any more props if Tyler wants to give them out. We'll create just kind of a mini core. Remember, this isn't the official core that Bobby's going to give out. If you want to get Bobby's official core, head over to runpuresports.com, sign up to become a member. If you're doing that, use the promo code GetBets. You'll get access to Tyler and I plays, the Sports Keg, JJ, Score with D, and Joey Work. So that's the best value in sports information right now. But we're going to do a preliminary core for you guys. On this show, and yesterday it turned out pretty well. Tyler, did you see the Randle double and Knicks win plus 320 on FanDuel? What do you think
I
of
did
that
not,
one?
but I was going to take a look through those player performance doubles on there because I knew that one had to be in there. And with the
Okay.
double being plus money, you figured adding those two together, you had to get close to 3-1. I love that play. We think the Knicks win the game. We think Randle gets the double, so why not just combine them?
Yeah, I love it too. And then you can also, use a less of a unit so you don't, you're not completely dependent on that. I love that as well. Why don't you check out those player performance doubles? And while we do that, Bobby, let's you and I try and craft a core real quick. This is so. Last night I felt like I actually I noticed as I've been doing this. When I first started, I hated the small slates. Now I like them a little better. I'm almost overwhelmed, so I'm glad to have an expert with you here. Let's if we were going to do a small core, who are you thinking here in this game? Give us that 4 players maybe we should be building around.
Yeah, I'd go Spencer Dinwiddie, 4-9,
Okay.
too cheap in that Washington Toronto game.
Mm-hmm.
Nikola Jokic would be my spend up stud at 10-4 in the Phoenix game. Scotty Barnes right now down at 3-4 in the Washington game. I think he makes up for some good value at a good price tag. And my final piece, I'm going to go Christian Wood at 8K. He's my guy. Did more of a GPP play, honestly, but still like him. Still like the matchup versus Towns. Think he's going to crush here. So he's going to be a guy I'm going to be loading into a bunch of my lineups.
All right, fantastic. So there's a nice little core for you there. We're going to go Dinwiddie, Jokic, Barnes, and Christian Wood was the last one.
Christian Wood, yeah.
All right, I love that. I love that core. And I'm surprised that you're not running it back with Towns there, and you're running with Jokic instead. So we will see how that turns out. Tyler, while we were able to find a nice winning core, did you find any player performance doubles that you think that we should give out to the people watching? And then we're going to do best bets.
I mean, I like to target these in games where I think we have the winner dead set on the side, so we don't have to worry about the slash and win. So the game I picked out, of course, would be Philly because I think they smashed the Pelicans.
Okay.
You can get Embiid 30-plus points and Philly wins at plus 220. I think he puts up 30-plus. I think he's going to murder Joe Val down low and drag him outside and just beat him up. The statement game that they don't need Ben, I could see definitely 30-plus points here from them and they win. And then looking at this Indiana game, this game seems to be more like a coin flip game.
Mm-hmm.
You could basically arb this game before it even starts.
Okay.
You can get Sabonis double and Indiana wins at plus 160. Probably if Indiana wins, the dude's going to score 10-plus points and get you 10-plus rebounds.
Right.
And then you turn around and look on the other side. LaMelo 8-plus assists and Charlotte wins plus 300. Like Bobby said, there's no more Devontae Graham to eat into his usage. He's going to have the ball in his hands tons. I could see either way that either team wins, you get one of those two props home.
What was the number on the Sabonis double? Pacers win?
Plus 160.
All right, I got that one right. And then what was the LaMelo? So we ended up rooting for Charlotte then, right? Because we get more money.
Yeah, it'd be LaMelo 8-plus assists / Charlotte wins plus 300.
Yeah, all right. I like that one. Let's do. But then you got the ARB. I like that. Great look there, Tyler. Let's jump into the best bets segment. Tyler, we will start with you. You just gave us some really good plays, but just side total prop for those who don't have access to FanDuel and can't get those really great numbers. Side total prop, what's your best bet of the day?
My favorite's Embiid to go over that 28.5 points. I think it's statement time. He doesn't need Ben Simmons. He is the star of that team. It's his team. He's in a good spot and a nice matchup. They should blow this team out. I think he puts up 30-plus. Give me that over 28.5.
All right. Bobby Gomes, I know you gave out the winning core, but we're going to ask a little more of you. Side total prop, what's your best look that you think that we've discussed today that you'd like to give out as your best bet?
Yeah, I really like Tyler's call on Julius Randle, double plus 120 on DK. Yeah, he would be the guy that I'd go to there.
All right, Randall, double. Boy, I have so many that I like today. Which one will be the official best bet? Oh my gosh! So the Spurs got knocked out. There's so many games I like. Just real quick, I like the Nuggets a lot.
If our
Cavaliers
guy
moved down to
Joey's still in
7.
the chat, I know who he's going to tell you to pick.
Yeah. I do like the Knicks a lot there too, but we got to find the one that's really the best bet. And let's go with the team returning home, making their triumphant return to Canada. I think that place is going to be rocking. Like Drake's dropped like 2 albums since they played in Canada. They're going to be rocking. Girls are getting pregnant up in Toronto tonight. I'm going to take the Raptors minus 2.5. So thank you everybody for watching. If you enjoyed the content and you like more, of course, leave the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You'll be notified when we go live. The next one will be tomorrow at 3:30, and then we'll be going live to enjoy the NFL, the NBA, and maybe some MLB. I don't know if any scheduled tomorrow night. Maybe we'll throw some hockey on the screen as well, doing the live show with the Sports Keg. So please head on over to runpurebets.com, become a member by using the promo code BETS25 off. Bobby, great to have you here. You did great in your debut. We're going to be looking to bring you back next week. And Tyler, wonderful talking to you as always. Thanks for giving out those winners. We will see you guys tomorrow. Run Pure.